It's Wednesday, December 5th, Parshas Vayeshev. By the way, Benny, Parshas Vayeshev means Vayeshev Yaakov. Yaakov, what does it mean? Relax. So Rashi says, Yaakov wanted to relax. You know, he's been through a lot and everything. He finally wants to relax. You know, he wants to take it easy. Too much pressure in New York. You know, wants to come to Atlantic City, wants to relax. And what happens? Rashi says, Kofetz olav rigza shel Yosef. New episode, the whole story with Yosef, which of course is the story of the Jewish people. Yesterday we spoke about not embarrassing somebody. Okay, so don't embarrass somebody. Today we're going to talk about the next level. About being a nice person. It doesn't say anywhere in the Torah that you should be a nice person, does it?
Well, you get examples.
Like yesterday I said it doesn't say anywhere you shouldn't embarrass somebody, but then we learn it out that it says to reprove your friend, but don't do a sin while you're doing it, meaning that don't embarrass him while you're reproving him. But where do you know that you have to say, where do you know that if somebody walks in, you should say good morning? Or how are you? Like everybody does it. Is it just common sense, common decency? You know, you'd be surprised. If something wasn't in the Torah, it wouldn't be common decency. Because the Gemara says that if not for the Torah, ish esra'eu balohu, one person would swallow up the other person. We would kill each other. That would be the natural thing to do. In fact, being nice to one another is, even though it's nature now, it's really against nature, because nature is survival of the fittest. So nobody would be orderly. Let's say you were waiting in line by Bubby's. Nobody would wait their line. They push because they want their food first, because they're hungry. And animals, when they're hungry, they'll push. You
had the birds, you try to feed them, they
yeah. So the rabbis tell us that there are 4 words that changed the history of the world and the history of the Jewish people. And the history of the Jewish people and whatever happens to the Jewish people is in effect what happens to the world, because the world is affected by what transpires and what happens with the Jewish people. Everything in the world, in the global scene, is always, even today, for years, ever it's centered in the Middle East. Tiny little country affects the entire world. We're sitting here today learning in Atlantic City, and we can walk the streets of Atlantic City with a yarmulke on, and the only reason we can do that is because of the state of Israel. Had there been no state of Israel, we could not wear a yarmulke in America. Because we would be persecuted, and we would be second-class citizens. We're anyway second-class citizens. We would be third-class citizens.
Yeah. In the 30s and the 40s, that's what it was like.
Right.
People
So the 4 words changed the history of the people. And what are the 4 words? We know the story that happened with Yosef. He was sold. He went to the house of Potiphar. He liked him. He made him in charge of the house. And what's the next thing that happened? His wife came on to him. She tried to seduce him. She pleaded with him. She wants to lie with him, and not necessarily have sexual relations even. She just wanted to lay with him. And as I said yesterday, that the sin of being with a married woman is not the physical act itself. It's anything surrounding that also falls into that category.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
What?
I'm glad you cleared
Yeah,
that up.
yeah.
Is that wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, no. Now, even though your wife is a married woman, You're permitted, Tad. Okay, I'm just making it clear. It's somebody else's married woman, but your own, Anyway, so and as we know that there's a whole debate whether the Jews, we speak about this often, and again today, that whether the Jews before the Torah was given, were they in the category of Jews or in the category of a Ben Noahide, but it doesn't make a difference because both of them are prohibited. That's one of the 7 Noahide laws, that you can't have relations or any sort of relationship with a married woman. So Yosef didn't submit, and then she made up a whole story that she turned the tables and said he came on to me, and the next thing we know that he was thrown into jail. And who does he meet in jail?
The baker and
The two cabinet members of the Pharaoh. The one in charge of the kitchen and the one in charge of the wines, and basically there were 2 top people in his cabinet. And just picture this, it's equivalent like today. Some 2-bit drug dealer, lowlife, gets thrown into jail, and he's sitting there with these 2 white collar politicians, and they have this lowlife sitting next to him. They wouldn't even look at him. I mean, it's like, even though you're both prisoners, but it's a difference. So here are these two cabinet members of Pharaoh, and in comes, in their eyes, the lowest thing walking on the face of the earth was a Jew. They were nothing, and a Jew that's a prisoner and that's tried to rape the one of the most prominent people at the time. He tried to rape the person's wife. So of course they're not looking at him, and they're disgusted. But this guy is in the same prison as him, and of course Joseph felt that, because you can feel when you're in such close proximity. But these guys had a dream, and in the morning afterwards, Yosef says 4 words to them. And this is the 4 words that the rabbis refer to change the course of history. He says, Madua penechem rohem hayom. Why are your faces so sad today? Those 4 words. And of course, from that, they answered, well, we're upset because we had a dream, we can't interpret it, and Joseph interpreted it. And from that, Joseph rises to become second in command and basically sustains and feeds the world, and especially his own family, who there was a famine. And so those 4 words, this is what changed the whole complexion, our whole history. So this is an important lesson. This teaches us that no matter what the situation, you got to be a mensch. It's easy to be nice when things are going great and you're having a good time. Hey, how you doing? How are you today? This and this. It's when things are not going right, and maybe you're in a bad mood. Maybe even don't like the person. Maybe the person is a lowlife in your eyes. Still, how are you? How's your day going? What's the matter? I see you're being troubled. What's on your mind? Maybe I can help you. And this is what Yosef did. They weren't even Jewish. They hated Jews. I mean, they would have killed him. And they still he went against nature. And that is the subject of what I want to bring out today, is that we as Jews, we have to rise above nature. Our whole existence defies nature. If you take a look at the natural order of things of our history, it's not natural that we're still around. For 5,000 years we've been persecuted, we've been destroyed, we've gone through Egypt, where we were persecuted for 210 years. We've gone through the Spanish Inquisition. We've gone through all kinds of holocausts. 6 million of our brothers, including 1.5 million children, were killed. We're still around. We're as strong as ever. We have a statement to make in this world, and basically the world deals and reckons with us, and we're all powerful, and because we defy nature. And there's a medrash that which I may have spoken about this. I know I spoke about it in Staten Island. The medrash says we're going to say Hallel. Hanukkah is coming up. We're going to say Hallel, and in the second paragraph of Hallel, which starts with B'tzeis Yisrael Mitzrayim, when the Jews left Egypt, and it talks about the miracle of the splitting of the sea, and it says Hayom Ro'o Vayonos. The Jews were coming into the river, and Hayom, the water saw, and it ran, meaning the water split. It ran away from each other, leaving a void in the middle where the Jews were able to pass. So the Medrash asks Akasha a question: What did he see? What did the sea see? What did the SEA SEE? Okay, so what does it say? Close. He saw the Arono Shel Yosef. He saw the casket of Yosef. Which there's another medrash which basically says the same thing, which Benny referred to. The medrash says that Vahamayim lehem choma, the waters became like pillars, and the medrash says because of the merit of the bones of Yosef, because of Yosef's bones, that's why the Jews deserved to cross the Yam Suf. So in both cases, what was it so special about Yosef that caused the sea to run? And the Medrash answers, Nas mipnei nas. It ran because of the runner. Who was the runner? It uses the word. It ran because of the one who ran. So who ran? So it's in this week's parsha. It says very clearly that when the wife of Potiphar came onto him, it says the Torah says Vayazov bigdo biyoda. He left. She was holding on to his garment. Vayonos, he ran. Vayetzachitza, he ran out. He went outside. So because he ran away from her, that's why the waters ran away and let the Jews cross. So this is Yosef went against nature. The natural thing would have been, first of all, she was a powerful woman, and he wasn't married. He didn't have a wife. Natural order would have been that he would have. First of all, his life was in danger, and he knew that if he doesn't submit to her, she's going to make trouble, and eventually he'll be killed. And also he went against nature, because if a beautiful woman comes onto you, it defies nature to resist. To resist temptation is nature. To resist temptation, you defy nature. So because Yosef defied nature, and he went against what he was naturally inclined to do, therefore the waters went against nature. Waters come together, and if it splits, that's the ultimate going against nature.
I heard something. They said he saw image of his father, but I don't know from where they got this. He saw image of he was going to do it.
Yes, he was going to do it, but he.
Where did they get it from?
Well, because I'll tell you where they got it from. Because it says over here. Because what did he tell her when he told her? She says. He tells her, he says, how can I sleep with you? He says, I was put in charge of this house. I am in charge of everything. Your husband has confided in me and given me everything that I wanted. There's nobody greater than me in this house. So how can I do such a terrible thing to him? And then it answers, and I'll read it in English. How can I perpetrate this great evil and have sinned against God? What is?
Yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it?
What, no. He's telling her, I can't. How can I do this to your husband? He's done so much good for me. The argument should have stopped there. Why is he telling her, how can I perpetrate this great evil against your husband and have sinned against God and sin against God? First of all, why does she care that he sins against God? She doesn't care.
They believe in God anyway.
So why is he adding that? The answer is that he gave her the answer that she needed to hear, because she would understand those words that I can't do this to your husband. He's done all this good for me, but in reality I can't do it because he pictured his father and who feared God. And how can I? Okay, so that answers Benny's question. And anyway. It's interesting that when the Torah, when the portion relates the story with the wife of Potiphar, 4 times it tells over the story, and in each time it uses an interesting word. It says, the first time it says, which I just read, that he ran out, vayetza, he went out, achutza, outside. What do you have to say outside? He ran and he went and he left. What does it mean outside? Achutza. That word achutza. Later on, you'll notice that he says again that when she relates the story, she goes again, vayonas achutza, and he ran away from me. He tried to seduce me, and then I screamed, and he went achutza. And 4 times it uses the word chutza. Outside. So this is where the rabbis say that the first time the word achutza is used when there was the covenant between God and Abraham. Bless you. The covenant between God and Abraham, and he also uses the word achutza over there. I don't have enough time to get into that. But so basically, this is what it's telling us, that as Jews we have to go outside nature. So that's what it means. He ran and he went outside. Outside what? It doesn't mean outside the door. He went outside his natural instincts and rose above to the occasion.
Very good.
Now, there's a sefer called Pardes, and Pardes, as we spoke before, is the 4 ways that we can interpret the Torah: Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod. So this sefer brings down a very interesting thing. There are 118 psukim in this week's parsha. Okay? Let me just.
It's like a sentence? What does it mean?
Paragraph?
Verses. Okay?
Okay.
There are 118. I'm sorry. There are 112.
Okay.
There are 112 psukim in this week's parsha, and as we spoke about before, the 112 is very significant because 112 is the combination of both of God's name, the merciful name of 26 Yud Kei Vav Kei, and the judgment, the name that refers to when he's in judgment, which is Elokim, which is 86. So 86 and 26 is 112. Okay, and that word it is Yabok. Yabok is Gematria 112, and that was used last week. Also, the river Yabok, and we spoke about that. Okay, so but there's 112 psukim verses in this week's. All but 8 begin with the letter Vav.
Wow.
Okay, now Vav. What is Vav? The Vav means and. The vav means and. It connects one thing to another. It's called Vav HaMechuber. The Vav. So all but 8 begin with the letter Vav. So he's saying, so this Sefer says that this reason why all but 8, he gives an answer. This it reminds us of the 8th day of circumcision. So what's the connection? What does one thing have to do with the other? So as Liz already guessed, is because when it's telling us that we would think that the whole thing, the whole saga that happened with Joseph is a story. And this happened, and then this happened. Natural sequence of events, cause and effect, that it just flowed, that there was nothing supernatural about this. This is just the way that happens. So the Torah is teaching us, no, this is not a story. And to signify this, there are 8, which 8, of course, we know is the number. 7 is nature. The world was created in 7 days. 8th is above nature. And where do we see something more above nature than anything else is on the 8th day when we circumcise. First of all, that whole act of doing circumcision on a newborn baby to cut him and from is such an unnatural event that, it's almost like it defies. Somebody would tell you, if there was no Torah and somebody tell you, okay, on the 8th day, you have a newborn baby, cut off a piece of his body. It just doesn't make any sense. Not by a doctor either. Not surgery, no stitching up. You just cut it. And what? Because we know that on the 8th day, something supernatural happens. On the 8th day, the body produces a certain enzyme or whatever it is that the clotting factor is the greatest. It's not there on the 7th. It leaves on the 9th. So the 8th day. So that's a fact. That's a fact. Because everybody says the 7 is nature, 8 is above nature. How about 9? No, 9 is no good. I always say Hanukkah is 8 letters. Christmas is 9. They both. People say it's almost the same. It's the same holiday. They both start with CH. It's like almost the same. No, Hanukkah is above nature. The whole idea of finding the oil defied nature. The whole idea that the weak overcame the strong, the few overcame the many. That was rising above nature. Not 7, not 9. It's just 8. So, and that's the lesson of the Parsha, that we should always go above nature as Jews and do what others may not have done, as Yosef did in the prison. Okay, have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Wow.